Welcome back, everybody, to the Mind Blossom. You are tuned in to another Mind Blossom experience. And in this video, I'm going to be painting a cosmic horse from scratch. I'm not using AI for the final image. However, I am using AI for references, okay? And I will not be sharing my AI references because I don't want to I don't really want to compare the two. I don't want to get in the habit of thinking that AI is better than my version. In a way, this is like practice for me because digital painting is in some ways more challenging than traditional art, and in many ways it makes painting easier. But nonetheless, uh, I think using AI as a reference can be a good way to learn. It can be a good way to learn how to paint. And so that's what I'm going to do here. And while I'm doing this, I'm going to be talking about things that have been on my mind. And the first thing I want to say is I want to give a shout out to somebody who has changed my life, and they have been changing my life since the summer of 2022. And this person's name is Bro Yosef. Bro Yosef is a spiritual teacher, and he provides information, spiritual experiences from his own life. He gives out resources like books, tools, and different things to help you grow on your spiritual path. And I've learned a lot from him. I've read a lot of the books that he's recommended. I've put some of the things he says into practice. And overall, I really like listening to his channel. I'm one of his patrons on Patreon. And his channel and his Patreon is called New Life Tools. Nulyfe Tools. Okay? So check out Bro Yosef. I've dropped a lot of my spiritual teachers over the years. I've talked about Alan Watts. I've talked about Carl Jung. I've talked a little bit maybe about Terence McKenna, and there's probably some other folks out there, but it's about time that I mention my teacher, Bro Yosef, okay? Check out his channel, Next Level Spirituality. And I also want to shout out my own Patreon. I have a Patreon. It's $1 a month. Really, it's just a way to support the Mind Blossom. And there's some exclusive stuff, but really it's all my videos at this point are public on YouTube, so you know what I mean. This is just a donation, a way to thank the Mind Blossom for existing. It's putting $1 in my jar every month. Or I'm out here on the streets, and you walk by me as I'm painting, and you put a little dollar in my jar. Okay, so that's basically what my Patreon is right now. I used to do a unique video for Patreon every month, and I tried to put as much on there as I could, but it was hard to keep up with. I have a full-time job, and in addition to my artwork and everything else, and trying to be all these roles that I play, it can be so difficult to make time for art. I still try to get my spiritual practices in. I work out, I do yoga, I do my meditations, I spend time with my fiance. I do all this stuff, and then in addition to sleeping, I try to get good sleep and go to work, so I'm just going to make all my videos public, and I'm not even worrying about it anymore. I'm not worried about selling prints. I'm not worried about NFTs. I'm not worried about the money. And a little money coming in for the Mind Blossom would be really cool, but it is no longer the priority. Now this is just a way for the light of my soul to shine through. This is what I realize is above all the most important thing that we can do in this world, especially in today's world, where there will be so much AI and there's so much soulless content. What does that even mean? Well, the soul is original, and it's very spontaneous, and it comes from a place of perfection, and you have a little piece of that perfection. You have a little piece of the godhood inside of you, and it's like a fingerprint because it's unique for every person, and so it manifests when the light from above shines through you. When you're a vessel for that light, It shines differently through me than it does through you, and that's because our soul is different. Each soul has a very unique snowflake-like geometry, is the best way I can put it, the best way I can interpret it. And let me also say this. Everything you hear on YouTube, everything you hear from me, Bro Yosef, anybody, measure the truth of everything you hear against your own experiences in life. Even if we both agree on something, we're both going to see it in a different way. And so, take nothing for, I guess, face value. Measure the truth against your own life experiences before you decide that something is true. Now, with that being said, I'm going to continue to speak what I know to be true. In the light of our soul is a way for divine light to shine into this world. What happens when we expose this world, our humanity, to more light? We uplift our collective consciousness out of the shadows of ignorance and into the light of awareness. And so we must ask ourselves, how much light can we bring into the world? How much light can you invoke within your own self? That will determine how much light you can share with the world. We are, in a way, conduits for the divine powers to work through us so they can influence the mortal realms. If your soul is surrounded by layer upon layer of attachments and ignorance and illusions and things like that, the light of your soul will be blocked out. It would become more opaque. And so when you evolve, this soul, which is like a seed, it's like trapped inside the shells of ignorance. You break free from those shells. You peel them off and you dissolve them, or you burst out of them, you break them down. Visualize it how you will. The underlying essence is that the light of your soul sprouts in a way. It bursts through the layers of ignorance. So first you must pay attention to your soul. You must recognize that it exists. Recognize that there is a part of you which is more vast and fine-tuned and in sync with the universe. You exist on the earth realm, but you also exist in the most in other realms too, which are more cosmic. And when you evolve spiritually, you begin to remember those other parts of yourself. And if your memory becomes so rich and clear and deep and vast and real, you can step into your other bodies. You can step into your astral body and your solar body and these greater spiritual bodies. These are new vehicles for your consciousness to operate through. And you can have more profound cosmic experiences. And it takes work. It has to, when I say work, what I really mean is it takes, you have to, I think, meditate consistently, do your spiritual practices consistently. I don't mean you have to put blood, sweat, and tears into this thing necessarily, but there has to be a part of you that yearns for closeness with your higher self. A person, if they want to grow and have more, feel more love, feel more connection to the universe, have more joy in their life, if they want to recognize love on a daily basis more frequently, I think that person needs to, first of all, recognize that there is more to life than the physical. And then get busy looking for evidence of that. And that should be a joyful process. This is not like a chore that we do. This is something we do because it's fun and it feels good. And in that way, it is effortless. And so calling it work is not really a great way. Spiritual work is not. I don't think that's always a great way to say it, because it doesn't always feel like work. Now, sometimes you may feel unmotivated to pray in the morning or to meditate or to do your yoga, which is a spiritual practice. Believe you me. Um, Sometimes it can be hard to motivate ourselves to do something, but I think the trick is to remind yourself, like, oh, Frank, just meet it halfway, get started, and then go for it. Forcing things to work is not the way. Sometimes you need rest. I'm not suggesting that we force ourselves to be spiritual. I don't even know what that would look like. But all I'm saying is that if we want to be more evolved human beings, I think we need to consistently uh, invoke a little bit more love and light into our experience, into our daily life. And speaking of shout outs, there's another teacher, another guy on YouTube. His name is Dreamwise Mental Alchemy. Dreamwise. I don't remember exactly what his YouTube channel is called. He also has a Patreon. He's got some good information too. Really good spiritual teacher. Great to listen to. He's got great messages. And he had a really good video that I watched the other day. And it was talking about how if you want to experience more wealth, abundance, and blessings in your life, the number one thing, the only thing you need to do is relax. Just relax. Apparently, when manifestation, receiving things from beyond, the only thing that stops you is when you block it. They call it blocking your blessings. And you block your blessings by trying too hard to get them. Tension in the body will block you. Tension in the body means you have tension in the spiritual world as well. Which means you have tension in the mental world, the causal plane, all those different planes of reality that coexist. If you're blocked on one, you're blocked on all of them. As above, so without, so below, as within, so without. You know what I mean? So tension is tension everywhere. So recognize it in your body first, because that's the easiest one to tap into. Your physical body, it's right here. Now, if you feel tension, and it sounds kind of weird, but I'm talking like tension in your sphincter is a big place where people get tension, and in their shoulders and their eyebrows, in their just everywhere. Recognize where you're tense. Tension in the sphincter, or like the like that area, the bottom of your body. The reason that's important is because that's kind of associated with your root chakra. And if your root chakra is in a state of tension, that means it's conflicted. It's going back and forth between fight or flight, survival. It's not really in a state of balance and peace. So check that part of your body. Just tap into it and see, am I relaxed or not? Loosen up. Do the same thing with your shoulders, your brow, everywhere. Oh my gosh, loosen up the body, and you'll begin to receive more blessings. When you loosen up physically, you somehow, magically, uh, banish your barriers on the spiritual plane in the unseen world. You release and detach from, and you lay down all of the walls that you were holding up. And when you do this, the blessings start to rush in. So if you can relax your body and your nervous system, which is electricity, that's like your electric body, the blessings will start to flow. Relaxing your mind as well. Remember to let the thoughts flow in and out. It's a constant stream. And you will notice more positive, uplifting thoughts if every once in a while you remind yourself that the light exists. In our world, light is like a bright physical phenomenon, or it is like the opposite of darkness. It reveals color and shapes and forms, um, and in that way, it is information. Information is all of this which surrounds us. All this sensory input. It's information from the outside world. Sometimes light and sound, these are vibrations that are more fine-tuned. And so they're kind of invisible, but they are ultimately information. They're giving us information from the invisible world. So do with that what you will. I just think that's interesting. And I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. I try to apply this knowledge and all my knowledge on a daily basis. And I don't have to really try because your mind, your brain, it gives you exactly the tool that you need. Like all of your knowledge, all the things you know, these are tools in your mental sphere, in your mental plane. And the right one that you need will come to you because you basically know infinite number of things. And so therefore it would be impossible to like open up that toolbox and sift through and think about, find exactly what you need to know at the right time. It's like when it's like when you're trying to think of the right word for something and you can't, and you keep thinking about it really hard, and you get further and further away from that the word you're trying to say, and then as soon as you stop thinking about it, the word comes to you. You're like, that's what I was thinking of. You ever had that happen? Well, it's because when you relax on the mental plane, the right thing that you need will come to you. Your body, your mind, your soul, your spirit, it all knows exactly what you need, when you need it, and in what form you need it in. And so it will come to you. But if you try to grasp at it and get in the way and fret over it, you just tighten up. And when you're tight, you can't receive things. You're not in a position to receive things. You're making yourself more static and closed off and more, you just wound up. You release that and things can start to come into your life. Insights, random knowledge from beyond, sudden realizations. And realizations are only as useful as you let them be. So you got to let them change your life. If you realize that you have a certain habit and it's doing damage to your relationships or your physical health or whatnot, that's great to have that realization, but it's useless in a way until you actually let it change the physical plane. And so when we relax, we receive. This does not really mean that no effort is required to do anything, because we gotta get up out of bed, and that takes obviously energy, right? But the process of doing things, even difficult things like going to the gym, or if you're an athlete, this clearly takes work, and it takes a lot of energy and effort. But the fact that you are so passionate about it makes it feel effortless almost. It's like there's nothing you'd rather be doing, and so in that way, it takes physical energy, or if you're like a scientist or something, it takes mental energy, but it's still effortless because the passion you have is giving you enough fuel to just like you're burning through it. You're like you're in this flow and it feels so good. There's nothing else you want to do. And so you're relaxed in a way. Strange, isn't it? You're relaxed and yet you're exerting effort. Same thing when you're making love, you got to be relaxed, but there's still effort. Athletes, or if you're solving even art takes a lot of energy, concentration, focus, and it definitely makes you hungry, thirsty, tired, and yet it's easy. Okay? Now, when things become forced or when it's time to shut down or turn away, your body, your mind would let you know. Maybe you'll get artist block. Maybe you'll be too sore. Maybe you feel sick. These are signs that your body is telling you to step away from whatever activity you're doing and rest, or do something else that satisfies a different need that you have. And so I pay attention to my physical body. It's giving me signals from the invisible world. I pay attention to my insights, but I don't take every thought that I have too seriously. I let it go, because some of my thoughts are irrational. Isn't that crazy? That we can have irrational thoughts? Like, what part of me is irrational? I didn't know that I was an irrational beast. I didn't know that I was this monkey on the inside. Is there a part of me that is so involved with the chaos that I produce irrational thoughts? And these thoughts could be damaging if I take them too seriously. But I guess so. I guess there's a chaotic, conflicted part of me, I think everybody has that. But when you have negative, destructive, evil thoughts even, I'll even say that, what are you going to do with it? Alchemize it. I let it blossom into my life in my mind at least, and I recognize it. And I visualize it kind of dissipating into energetic dust, light beams and particles, and I reabsorb that. I purify it into white light and I absorb it into my cells. And so I visualize it turning into something positive. Because you can alchemize it. And the secret to alchemy, Bro Yosef mentioned this. Let me shout out Bro Yosef before I say this, but I'm realizing it in my own life, so I'm going to say it now too. The secret to alchemy, and again, shout out, credit where credit is due, Bro Yosef at New Life Tools dropped this bit which said that love is the secret to alchemy. Love is the secret to alchemy. When we break this down, love is more than just romantic love. It is a cosmic, divine love. It goes so far beyond what you can imagine. It compels you to surrender to it. And when you surrender to love, you realize that you are love. It really is just the energy of the universe, which is in a constant state of flux. And when you can accept the flux, the change, every situation is what it is and nothing more, that's when you fall in love with the universe. Love is change. Love is evolution and growth. It's an eternal flow. An exaggerated sense of change is maybe what we call, I think this is an incorrect way to put it, but chaos, right? An exaggerated, hastened sense of change whereupon destruction and violence and unnecessary chaos occurs. That's not necessarily what we're talking about. That is an uncomfortable. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the gradual, necessary evolution that all things experience when all things change at their own pace. This is important so that we do not get stuck in a state of, so we don't remain static or stagnant, complacent. Change is necessary to grow. And this is love. Love is, in a way, one aspect of love is unconditional acceptance for things just as they are. Things are perfect. This is absolutely perfect just the way it is. This is absolutely perfect. It's so perfect I could never judge it. I could never cast my own opinion about right or wrong on this thing because it is so perfect just the way it is. It was meant to be this way. It serves its purpose right here and now. And that's all that was ever meant to be. It is fulfilling its purpose to its maximum. If you can have this attitude towards every experience and everything in your life, internally and externally, then you are feeling love. Then you are truly in love. And so therefore, what we're saying right here, we cannot really get at it any further with words or logic. You see how this must be felt? You see how it must be experienced in order to understand its truth. Some things can't be described. They just simply must be, you must allow them to occur. And so when we can have this attitude of not only utmost appreciation for a thing, but a glorious rejoicing of everything for it, what it is exactly, nothing more, nothing less, that is love. And so, love then, when we apply it to all of our irrational beliefs and our irrational thoughts, even our evil, negative, inner thoughts that come up, things that we think about ourselves or other people, when we show these thoughts love, when we give them love, those things transform. Those thoughts will transform. They will relax. They will unwind. Their chaotic, disturbed shapes and forms will smooth out into a perfect, into something more energetically balanced. Love purifies all distortions. Distortions of thought, body, mind, emotion, soul, spirit, all things. It smooths everything out. And when you see something in another person that you don't like, love them anyway for it. Send them love. Feel love in yourself, and then, once you're full of it, project it onto that other person. And not to mention, whatever that person is that you don't like, I also remember personally that even if I'm not aware of it, if there's somebody I don't like and they're doing something that bothers me, somehow I also engage in those very same behaviors. There's a part of me in my life where I do something very similar to what that person is doing. I may not be aware of it yet. I may not know how exactly, but I'm doing that too. I'm projecting on this person right now. When I see something good in somebody or something bad or just even neutral, it's a reflection of me. And so what do? Well, we love that part of ourselves. And if I'm not really sure what that part of myself is, then I just love my whole self anyway. I give my every part of myself love. Whatever I am aware of, I cast love into it. I invoke love into it from the quantum realm and outward, from the very seed, the indivisible nucleus, the absolute perfect center, the void, which is in the center of all things. I start there and I invoke love within that quantum realm, and I let it go outwards into infinity. It starts within me and it goes outwards until it takes over everything. You really can imagine love. Invoke it. It is symbolized by light. Not a blinding neon light necessarily, but a whatever kind of light feels right to you. It could just be a warm, glowing hue, some type of just warm, calming, whatever type of light you need. It could be very bright or not, but that symbolizes love. It symbolizes purification through love, the balancing of all things. Evil things, distortion, unnecessary chaos, these are all just things that are out of balance. The further away we get from balance, the more chaotic we get, of course, and you could say more evil. Chaos is not evil. Chaos is change. Chaos really is love. What is evil then? I think evil is in my opinion, it's different. It really is different for everybody. But for me, I would say that evil is the use of, is a perversion, perverting something into its chaotic opposite. Torture, which is another form of perversion. the infliction of undue, unnecessary, or untimely violence. This could be physical violence, emotional, mental violence. And yet evil exists, and so we must therefore assume that it's natural. Isn't that crazy? The natural phenomenon of evil. And so it exists, but it doesn't have to be, um, it does not have to be worshipped. You do not have to give it your energy. You can give your energy to the harmonizing forces of love, which again is symbolized by light. And when I say symbolized, what I mean is that if you visualize light, you are at the same time, you are thus invoking love. Visualize light permeating every strand of DNA in your body. Visualize going down to that microscopic level, and each strand of DNA becomes glowing with perfect light. And do this with every cell in your body all at once. And so therefore every cell and every organ, every part of your body, you as a whole, you are glowing with this light. And you feel the love. It's lightweight. It's energizing, and yet it's soothing. It's so vital. It's the breath of the divine. It's perfect. It's abundant. It's everything. It's no more, no less. It just is such a perfect life force essence coursing through you. You visualize your whole body just glowing with this light. And then you can imagine this light being projected into anyone in the world. You can even project it into your past, into past scenarios, and bring that light and love into your old self, project it into the future. In your mind's eye, cast it to your family members. Because this light is interdimensional. It can span, it can go across time, it can weave through the dimensions, and it can be anywhere all at once. All of these electrons, they're everywhere all at once. And they correspond, they're here in the physical plane, but they're also in the planes beyond. They correspond to the higher dimensions as well. And so you can access every place in the universe anytime. And you see how you can rewrite your life. You can decrease the ignorance and increase the awareness everywhere. This is what I call light magic. Because magic is, again, it's a process of transformation. Magic is a way to make changes. If you cast a spell and it didn't do anything, it wouldn't really be magic, would it? Like, you expect something to change. Something changes. Whether you do a ritual, you're lighting a sigil, you're doing sex magic, you're doing, there's so many kinds of magic, but it's a process of invoking change. And part of the secret is that you have to be, you're a link between the physical world and the spiritual realms, because you have this physical earthly body, but you have so many other bodies too. And so you have to be aligned with all these different, you have to be aligned. If the physical and the spiritual are out of alignment, then your results won't really manifest. So it's about you becoming a better vessel and changing in such a way that you stay aligned. And in that way, when you're aligned, when your physical body is in tune with your higher self, with your spiritual energies and your electricity, when all of it is perfectly relaxed and flowing just how it's supposed to, then you again will receive these blessings that start to flow. Staying out of alignment is a great way to block your blessings, okay? And like I said in the beginning, the easiest way to tell, in my experience, is to check your physical body. Are you in a state of conflict and tension? Are you holding things tight? Are your thoughts in conflict? Are your emotions in turmoil? Recognize these and then open yourself up just by letting go, feeling relaxation. The curious paradox of relaxation is that you don't have to try to, you can't try to relax. It's so natural. It just does. Just like breathing, or even more involuntary, your heartbeat. Kind of just remember relaxation and let it happen. Remember the light and let it happen. They say let go and let God. God is like, it's automatic. The power and glory of God will flush through. It will just permeate everything when you do nothing. When you just be. Let go and let God. This sounds like some youth pastor type business, but I'm really trying to speak from the heart, you know? When you speak from the heart, everything is coming from a place of love. Not like, again, romantic, platonic, not even like the love you have for your family. A love of life, a love of the cosmos, a perfect appreciation and rejoicing for everything exactly how it is. Now, speaking of the heart, I want to talk about what happens when we move our center of consciousness away from the heart. Your focal point of consciousness is where you sense everything to be. It's where everything is happening. When you're horny, for example, the center of your consciousness is down lower, in the lower chakras. You're not really thinking about the third eye. You're not really thinking about the philosophies of the world. Your focal point of consciousness is down there. It's in the root chakra and the sacral chakra. It's in the the more, uh, kind of more chaotic. You know what I mean? There's a lot of energy pulsing up down from that part. Uh, it's a lot of energy, and it's bestial. Okay, that's where the focal point of your consciousness is, and that's a healthy thing. It is unhealthy though when you get your focal point down at the bottom of your kundalini down there at the wrong times or places, or like, it shouldn't always be down there. Because if the focal point of your consciousness in energy is down there in the lower chakras, you're not gonna. You can see how that's like, it makes you a little bit more, um, I don't know. It's good for the right time and place. Let me tell you this: porn, and like softcore porn, which is all over TikTok and social media. Not really pornography like intercourse, but a whole lot of like sexualized content. When you look at that, when you or music that's very sexualized, that is that changes your consciousness in such a way that it becomes more focused and starts spinning more strongly around the lower chakras. It's like a magic spell. It changes your consciousness, and it reorients it downwards towards the lower chakras, and so you become like, that's what a gooner is. A gooner is somebody who doesn't have the higher psychic faculties of the heart, throat, and the mind. The upper chakras are kind of like shut off. They're gooning. They're all in the gonads, and they just want to bust. They just want to like get their seed out, or they just want to like, they want to feel that pleasure. And so if that's where your consciousness is trapped, you're gonna have a hard time forming relationships because you're gonna be attracting those kind of scenarios. You're not gonna be able to mix with people who are operating from a higher, so-called higher place of consciousness. Another example is, let's say you are a very intellectual person. A lot of people, I mean, we can over intellectualize, we can be too bookish or philosophical and so obsessed with spirituality that we are like stuck in the higher chakras. We're stuck on the third eye. We're stuck on trying to unlock the crown or the throat. You know, these mind um being stuck in the intellectual. Okay, or if you're so involved with the spirit that you lose your earthly sense of your earthly responsibilities, your karma, your dharma down here on earth. Bro Yosef also talks about don't be so spiritually high that you're no earthly good. Don't be so involved with the spirit that you lose track of your mission down here on the planet. In this three-dimensional world, you're here for a reason. And this place, even though it's dense and full of karma, it's just as spiritual as the higher planes. This 3D realm, this density, this boring place of taxes and traffic and responsibilities and 8-hour workdays. This is for how dense it is here. This is a necessary contrast to the more free realms that we call the higher planes of reality. They coexist. They're opposite ends of the spectrum. So we can't be so involved with the spirit that we forget about who we are on a more primal level and in a more dense way. This is all a part of the game and it's all equally beautiful. And that's a part of love, is loving all of it. Don't just love your third eye and your mind and your intellect and your knowledge. Love who you are as the beast within. Love, and then when you can do that, then you start to balance in the heart. I think the heart is probably the most important chakra. I mean, that's actually not true. They're all equally important, but the heart is a good middle ground. It is the middle ground between your lower and the higher chakras. These places where the consciousness is. Imbalance, as we see, is when you can't coordinate where your consciousness is at. Sometimes you need to be operating from the lower more so than the higher. Sometimes you need to be more in tune with your third eye. Sometimes, and all the time, you need to be in tune with your heart. And so what I'm really saying is that let's stay balanced. The heart chakra, when you are with another person, in the context of this meeting, is not sexual, and it's also not, if it's not if it's just a regular, everyday situation with you and another person, or with your family, or with your friends, or even with yourself, or with your pet, or with the world, your coworkers, in some ways, going from the heart, having your consciousness centered in your heart, is the best way to be. The heart is the green chakra. Green is energizing, and yet it also has a soothing effect. The color green is energizing and narcotic at the same time. It cools you down like a sedative, soothing, tranquilizing force, and yet it still has that infernal heat from the base chakra. And so it's a blending of the warm and the cool. Perfect vibe, a perfect, invigorating, vitalizing sensation. And when your consciousness is centered in the heart, you can always find balance. This is where I like to operate from on a regular basis. I always find myself going back to the heart chakra. Now, in order for the heart chakra to be fully alive, you gotta have energy going up through your whole body. So therefore, relaxation in all areas is key. I need to allow energy to go up through all of my chakras, my whole spinal cord, my whole aura, my body, my organs, everything total relaxation, but the center of it is the heart. And that's where I can keep the focal point. That's where the most love is really experienced. Let the blessings come easily into your life. Control your mind. Automatic thoughts do not rule you. You rule over your thoughts. You are the operator. And you get to decide your very own core vibration. And your core vibration, if it's consistent, it will begin to reflect in your external world. Meaning that if you consistently keep love as your core vibration, day in and day out, if you're operating from an open, activated heart chakra consistently, day in, day out, you're going to notice more love and harmony in your life. You're going to find more external manifestations of an activated heart chakra. The energy of an open, activated heart chakra, in other words, the manifestations of love, they'll populate in the external world in innumerable different ways. You'll start seeing love everywhere you go. You'll see it in the eyes of the person sitting across from you, no matter who that person is. They could even be your enemy. The blessings will populate in ways large and small, and they will be everywhere. And it's just up to you. It's up to you. Are you going to stay with that internal vibration? Some people have an internal vibration of anger, and so they're always going to find something to be angry about. Some people are sad, and so everything they see, they're going to see the sad side of it. Some people are stuck in the past, so they're always going to be their vibration is like looking in the past, and so that's what they're going to be focused on, thinking about it all day. Their whole world is going to be dark blue. A person whose internal vibration is consistently, maybe not perfectly all the time, but if you're consistently operating with a green sun in the middle of your chest, you will begin to gradually recognize that your life is both energized and soothing at the same time, and everything around you is going to reflect that. Your relationships, your job, your car situation, your money situation, your moment-to-moment level of satisfaction and joy just being with the present moment. You won't even have to pick up your phone anymore because the living, breathing reality of this moment is going to feel so real and perfect that you don't need to look at your phone. Within each moment, you will find the sparkling reflection of unlimited new realities. You will appreciate each and every one, and you will let your internal vibration dictate which moment you teleport into. This is reality shifting. The reality shifting, we can't do it. We can't change timelines by trying to change timelines. We just let it happen because it's always going to happen. We're changing timelines right now. Right this second, every second, you're shifting into a new timeline. And it's so effortless. You're going downstream. The only control you have about where you go is, okay, am I going to invoke light inside of me? Am I going to invoke the light of love? Am I going to have open and activated chakras? Because if I do that, then I'm going to get pulled into a timeline full of miracles, blessings, love, harmony, peace, energy, vitalization, adventure, um, all that. And so, I think the trick, not even the trick, but the thing about all this is consistency. Am I consistently vibrating the kind of way that I want to? You know when you're not. You definitely know when you're kind of getting off into the more chaotic vibes and the more, well, I don't know, lower vibrations. You know when you're not vibrating the right way, the way that you really want to. You can feel it. You just have to pay attention to that feeling. What helps me, and I've said this before, is that experiences, I must remind myself that experiences are not as important as possessions. For example, I just got my licensed associate counselor. That's a in every state, counselors, like professional counselors, licensed professional counselors, that's called a senior license. And before you get your senior license, you need to get your junior license. And in the state of New Jersey, that is it's called an LAC, licensed associate counselor. I just recently got mine, and I'm very proud of it. But that is a possession. In a way, no, I don't actually possess the title, but I have this title under my government name, and uh, so it's like a concept. It's like a mental possession, if you will, and that's great. And that opens up a lot of doors for me, and it's a mark of my dedication and my commitment to the path. But it really is only useful as a tool. Because if I go around all day thinking I'm a licensed associate counselor now, then what I'm doing is I'm limiting my consciousness to the confines of this concept, this possession. I'm letting the possession become a vessel for my energy and like the soul vessel for my. I'm giving it like a disproportionate amount of my uh, time and energy and adoration. That's how you energize and create an idol. That's idol worship. And the problem is that it's so narrow. Like your client, my clients don't care if I'm a licensed associate counselor. They care if I'm a human being. They don't care about a license. Like a license is great, so that way you're not dealing with you know, you don't want to go to an unlicensed counselor. But you do, but so you want to know you're working with a professional, but at the same time, if you get to the office and your counselor is like, well, he's got all of his, he's like obsessed with his degrees, you're not going to really want to work with that person because it's not like you still want to be a human being. The humanity is what heals the human connection, the recognition between my soul and the soul of my client, the person I'm here to work with. When our souls recognize each other and they ignite and they light up, that is when therapy and counseling, good counseling, can take place. And you're not going to get in touch with your soul by becoming obsessed with your license. And so, the experience of being a human, the experience of opening up my heart chakra in the presence of another human being so that they may also open up theirs, maybe, that experience can't be held in any container. There's no vessel for it. It flows through. You can be a vessel for it so long as you're flowing. You're open on to receiving and giving. But you can't trap it and you can't keep it. Like it's like flowing water. And that feeling, that perfect feeling, that is the real joy, the relaxing and yet invigorating sensation of just being alive and just putting your energy where you're supposed to put it. paying attention to what you're supposed to pay attention to. And you know what you're supposed to pay attention to in your heart. You know. You know good and well what you're supposed to look at. That's more important than your title, your possession. Things change. Your possessions will change over time, and all of these are just outward manifestations of your internal vibration. So when you start to lose things, like if you lose your car breaks down, or if you lose a job, or if you lose a relationship, this is a physical demonstration of what's going on the spiritual plane. You're changing, whether you realize it or not. These things that fall apart is a sign that something new is taking its place. It doesn't seem like it because we get focused on the tragedy of loss, but that really is, from another perspective, a sign that things are changing, and it very well can. It can change in a good way. That change, that loss, can lead to something better if you consistently, like I said, keep your vibration internally on love. If you appreciate everything just for what it is, and you maintain an enthusiasm for the moment, you will bring it. You allow more enthusiasm to come through. You will allow more vitalizing, harmonic, and yet tranquil experiences to come into your life. And that's the great thing, is you let them go. And when you let them go, that's fine, because more is on its way. This is what I mean when I say circulate your blessings. Everything is a blessing, and it's all circulating. And you let it come through. Come through. It's here and then it's gone, and you get to be with it, and you give thanks for it, and there it goes. And now here's the next thing. This happens in ways large and small. And the more you pay attention to it, it has this cumulative effect where you recognize more. You start to recognize small blessings here and there, and then sooner, before you know it, they're everywhere. And you realize that the small blessings are really not that small. They're more profound, and they're not. So every small blessing becomes a big, a great source of joy. Well, I am about to get off of this video because I've been on here nearly an hour. And as you can see, a horse. I painted this with digital art, with digital brushes on digital canvas on my iPad. Procreate. Shout out to Procreate. It's better than Photoshop. If you're if you're an artist. Maybe not. Maybe I used to use Photoshop for a long time. But I like Procreate. I like my iPad. And digital art is fun. And they say it's going to go out of style because AI is going to be dominating, but I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, an art form can only die if nobody practices that art form anymore, or if nobody consumes the content, if nobody looks at it, if nobody gets involved with the process anymore. That's when it dies. If everybody just forgets about it. But that's not realistic. There's always going to be room for any kind of art form. And all it takes is one person to do it. And if maybe my picture is not as perfect as the reference that I used, so be it. It just is I painted it. I used my skills to make it. And it is what it is. It's your art. It just comes out of you. It's something that you manifested. And it just simply is. And you can share it with the world. And I think that's great. I think it's really good to share that. Art, they say art begets more art. And I think what people mean by that is that when you create good, inspiring artwork, it inspires other people to make their own creations and to get creative and to do something that's also inspiring. So you see how this is a positive feedback loop. If all of us create and share, it's going to generate more creation and more sharing. I'm finding joy on a daily basis. This is it. That's the main thing. And I can set myself up for success if I can. There's little things I can do to make that easier. Doing my yoga, doing my spiritual practices, waking up early, going to the gym, staying hydrated, eating good, eating right, sleeping well, spending enough time, spending quality, sincere time with the people in my life, important people in my life. This makes it easier. Excuse me, I have hiccups right now. And so I encourage all of us to do this. Find joy, do the right thing, find joy everywhere. Everything, find joy in everything, love everything, and let things go. Let it all go. Let it all come on into your life and let it go. It's all perfect. Let's continue to have blessings everywhere you look. All right, everybody. Until next time, thank you for everything and peace out.